Welcome to Sprout Central, where we help you take your dreams and build a community. We have an action-packed show for you today. Last week we got so excited because Joey finished his business plan. Joey, you finished your business plan last week.
I did.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was super exciting. I'm actually waiting to hear back from the lenders right now. It's submitted. I've emailed back and forth. They asked me for a couple more things, and I sent them a couple more things, and I'm waiting to hear back now. So
we're going to talk about that process. That's part of the process right there. Then we had Jonah Monet on the show, and we got so enamored with the movie business and had such great response of people who would like to just maybe even be a cameraman or learn the movie business, that some of the future shows we're going to have some more people in the film industry on and talk about, you know, for those people that want that as their career, how to do that.
that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that there's talking about that I didn't even know was around here. You know, apparently there are acting coaches and different venues to enter into the industry that, you know, I mean, when I think of the movie industry, I think, oh, got to move to Hollywood or, you know, something like that. So that's pretty cool that we're going to be able to help people chase those passions here.
Absolutely. Right now we have, you know, we have acting coaches and we have casting directors and other types of people that can help you get into the film industry. Even there's even a film studio in Gulfport.
Right on.
I call it the Secret Film Studio.
That's pretty cool.
So we had a great show with Jonah Monet, and so we're going to pursue the whole film industry concept in some future shows. And then we have a great guest this week. So a big deal is our guest. It's the top, let's see, I'm going to get this right. It's the top marketing CEO of 2020, Tabitha Vilardo of Cornerstone Marketing is going to be here today. So if you're in business, right now and you need a strategy, you need to reset, this is the show for you. If you're working on your business plan, if you're following along and writing your business plan, get out a notebook, write marketing plan across the top and get ready to take some notes. Because after the big break, Tabitha's going to be here, and she is full of great information. I got a chance to meet with her before the show and just pick her brain, and I'm wowed, Joey.
That's awesome.
I'm super excited about the whole the guest thing today.
So we have startup table and we have marketing. So we got two really big segments coming up here
right,
today.
We got
it's gonna be
two
really
big
good.
things.
That's going to be great information. Definitely.
Absolutely. All right, so that's the lineup today on the show. We got Tabitha. We're going to talk about the marketing plan, and we're going to be right back after a message. We have a special Sprout alert for you, so pay attention to that. We'll be right back. All right, so this is a Sprout Central alert. If you own a franchise, or if you've ever thought, I want to own a franchise, Sprout has special financing available for franchises. Joey, have you ever thought about owning a franchise?
Yeah, it's something I've thought about. If I could own a franchise, I might open up a Panera. There's no Panera around here. I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things about franchises, that there are a lot of franchises that aren't here. So maybe even a new franchise for someone, for the Gulf Coast, would be a great thing right now.
It's definitely a safe investment because they have proven track records of successful business models. So.
All right, so Sprout Central, we take your dreams and we help you build a community. So if you want to build a franchise, it's the perfect opportunity. We even have really low entry as far as money into the deal. So give us a call at the Sprout number there, or email me at dennis@sprout.fund and own a franchise. All right, we're back, and Joey's here. Joey, how was your weekend?
It was great. You know, 4th of July, had a barbecue, saw some fireworks, ordered a hand-pan drum from Italy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the 4th of July a little bit, but hold on a minute. You ordered a hand-pan drum from Italy?
I did. Yep. I finally found a drum tuned to 432 hertz. It's handmade by a company called Batellaro in Italy. Shout out to them.
Yeah?
And I bought it. Yeah, it's key. It's tuned to a B minor scale. And I'm really excited to start playing it. I've been wanting one for about 8 years now, so finally found one that's actually like the perfect one.
So is this something that you use professionally, or do you just like to play? Just have a
Well, I've been
hand
playing
drum to play?
hand percussion instruments since I was a kid, and I've played with some bands and stuff.
You've been in a band.
I've been in multiple bands actually.
Really?
Yeah, I've played
You're a
around here before.
silversmith. You've been in a band, and you have a hand pan drum from Italy now.
Yeah, I will very soon.
Very
yeah,
soon.
it's on its way.
Shipping.
It's shipping. Yeah, it's shipping from Italy, so it's going to take a while. But yeah, they're really cool instruments, and I've, like I said, been looking for one for a while, and I do plan on actually using it for business. I mean, they are used. You can sit on the side of the street and busk is what it's called when you sit.
Busk?
Yeah, busking.
Is that when you put the hat out and you play the drum?
That's
and
when you put
people-
the hat on. I've done that too, actually.
I always when I pass by somebody, I could be in a city, where they're doing that. And I always throw them a little something.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, especially
Yeah.
if they're making your experience better. I mean, when I lived in Boston, in the subway tunnels and in the park and stuff, you're walking down the park and you hear beautiful music as you're walking. Like, yeah, give them a couple $, why not? So, but I do actually plan on using it here. I want to do like yoga sessions because it's a really melodic, really down tempo, ambient sound to it, and so I want to charge $20. I'll go and play your yoga session, so you can have live music for your yoga session. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Man, I think I'm going to have to start looking for a new Sprout assistant if you keep getting side gigs, Joey.
Well, I mean, you gotta the grind never stops.
Well, you finished your business plan early.
I did.
Right. Everybody else is still working on their startup table, which we're going to talk about in
Right.
just a few minutes.
Right.
But you're already done with your whole business plan. I bet you were the one that read ahead in school when they said, "Hey, don't read ahead, don't turn the page." You turned the page, didn't you, Joey?
I did. That was actually the first attention I ever got was in 8th grade, Miss Reed's class at St. John High School. She had told me multiple times to stop reading ahead because whenever she would call on me to read with the class, I would have to ask them, where were we? And I would try to hold the page, at the paragraph and listen in and flip back and forth. But she caught me again, and she gave me my first attention ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for reading ahead.
So you got in trouble, first attention ever for reading ahead. That's almost like getting in trouble for being too good at school. I don't know. It doesn't really seem fair.
Yeah, well,
All right, so here we are. We're going through this process of writing a business plan. And folks at home, I hope you're working on your business plan, and I hope we're helping people start a business, because that's why we're here. Our mission is to help you take your dreams and build a community. And we want to revisit startup costs today, because at some point, as you well know, Joey, your bank's going to go, "Hey, send me your startup cost," and we want you to have the right answer. So, Joe, you made this slide last week, and I don't think we did it the justice that this fine slide deserves.
Absolutely not. I spent 17 good minutes of my life on this slide, and so let's read it for the people here. In this first step, we will forecast startup expenses. Some key points. Timing is critical. Timing is the only difference between expenses here and those listed in your profit and loss table, which we will get to later. If the expense happens before the first month of the plan, it belongs here. Otherwise, it goes in the profit and loss table.
Okay, so this first step is about expenses, right? Expenses are payments for things that get completely used up. Can we put that back up so I can kind of go over that a little bit more? For example, things like rent, utilities, payroll, and insurance are expenses. So startup expenses are things that you intend to spend before your first day of business. So when we talk about rent, we're talking about rent reserves, not your monthly rent. Utilities reserves, insurance for the first year, things like that. Later on, when you list you'll have a chance to list things like assets or things that retain value after you pay for them and could, conceivably be resold, like inventory, land, buildings, equipment, furniture, those types of things. Both represent money you spend, but we keep expenses separate from assets for accounting and tax rules. Also, and that's good for that slide, but also we keep startup expenses separate from monthly expenses, and that's a big deal as you learned writing your business plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was one of the things we had to go through and figure out. I wanted to have 6 months worth of rent reserves on my startup expenses because I knew that it wasn't going to be one of those things that's going to start making money immediately. It's the industry that I'm getting into is something that has to build up, word of mouth. Once people have something brought in for repair and they know they have 3 friends that have stuff to be repaired, then that market is captured. But until I get those people to come in, my rent needed to be taken care of. So I put that into my startup table. I also put the purchase of the silversmithing equipment, the workshop that I was going to be building, I put that into the startup table as my assets, the assets that I was going to be purchasing.
Perfect. So in your startup table, that's a really important point you brought up, Joey, is that you need to make sure you include at least 6 months of reserves or operating capital so that you can get off the ground and on your feet in business, right?
Right.
And that can be something that you can put into your startup cost that could theoretically be borrowed in a loan. A lot of people don't realize that.
Right, right.
But it's very important to have those reserves.
Because, ideally, it's going to start making money on its own, but you want to make sure that your business isn't going to fail because it hasn't gotten off the ground in the way that it needs to.
Right. And the bank wants you to have enough money to make sure that on the chance that you don't make money one month, that you're definitely going to be able to still make your payment and pay your bills and stay in business.
Right.
That's a big deal. So what are some other good examples of, if you're buying a building, first of all, call Sprout if you're buying a building, but if that's a startup expense to buy that building and to refit that building to suit your business. We have a new client that's buying a building and starting a business. I've even told you about our new client. We'll talk about that. We might have her on the show.
Okay.
So we got a new client yesterday. So that would be a startup expense. If you need to buy equipment, you need a delivery truck for your business. You put that in your startup expenses.
Right.
What are some startup expenses you had in yours without getting too personal or anything?
Well, so besides that, I also had the cost of silver. So, I want to make silver jewelry, figurines, all that stuff. And to be able to do that, even if I have the material or the equipment to do it, if I don't have the material to do it, then I wouldn't be able to make anything. So I included a starting reserve, basically, of silver shot that I'll be melting down and using to create my own ingots, and then rolling that into either sheets or wires, depending on what I need. But that was another startup expense that was pretty substantial, that without it, my business wouldn't be able to succeed.
That's called startup inventory, and you have to have inventory to sell.
Exactly.
So that's a big thing to put on your startup expenses, is make sure you have enough inventory if you're selling things to sell. If it's a restaurant, make sure you include enough for your initial food cost, your initial purchase of all of those things in order to stock up and have ample supply on hand. That's a big deal.
And like talking about the building to suit, basically, that's another big part of what I'm going to be doing for the Artisans Guild section of my business, is the workstations. So I had to go through and figure out and factor up how much everything that I wanted to purchase was going to be. I had to talk to people about what kind of tools they wanted to see, so I could make sure that I had enough money in there for all the tools that I was going to be buying. And then also to build out the workbenches that I want to be building. So leasehold improvements, I think, is what it's called whenever you go to put that on your plan. But that's another big part that I think anybody's going to really need to do, is make sure that the place that they're going into is going to suit their needs. Right,
and that's another important thing. You can get a loan to start a business without purchasing the building that you're going to occupy. You can do what you're doing. You can rent a building and then borrow the money to improve the interior of the building, leasehold improvements, so that it suits your business. And the SBA has great programs to suit those types of borrowers. Mm-hmm. And Sprout does those types of business loans. So if you want to start a business, call Sprout and let us help you. So we talked about startup cost, right? We need to differentiate really quickly before we finish between startup cost and monthly expenses, because we talked about rent, but then rent's a monthly expense. So in the profit and loss statement later on, your monthly rent goes there. Your rent reserves goes in the startup cost. Your monthly rent goes in the profit and loss. The things that are your operating costs that you spend money on every month, those don't go in your startup budget. Just the reserves for that goes into your startup budget. Everything else that you do goes into the profit and loss statement.
Right.
Things like rent, your monthly insurance payment, resupply of inventory. So you've got to put in sufficient money to buy your inventory, and then make sure that you always have ample money on board to resupply that inventory later on. And so,
Right.
so some of these things go into the profit and loss statement. But that's a good overview of what, what it takes to get to the point in your business plan where you've written down your startup cost, and you have and we're going to show this next week, the startup cost table, right?
Right.
But then we're also, next week, we're going to move on to explaining your startup cost, because we said earlier, when the banker asks you questions, we want you to have the right answers. And those answers include, well, hey, what are you going to do with that money? You can't just put down, oh, I'm going to add a new location, I need $500,000.
Right.
We need to know every single detail. And so we're going to have a whole section next week on how to explain your startup cost so that the bank will lend you money for that.
Right on.
So that's coming up, on the next week's show when we work on the business plan. All right, so we are going to have our special guest, the top marketing CEO of 2020, right here in Joey's seat when we get back from our break. So stay tuned for that.
Money Focus here on Ocean 7. Justin O'Keefe, financial advisor, over 30 years in the business. If a person comes to you and says, please, I want to make the right investment, not the wrong investment, where do you take them?
Well, safety is the key. Yeah, we want to help them get a better return on their money and don't lose their money. That's the key.
And the older a person is, you got to be careful. You don't want to lose your nest egg.
That's right. The less risk you want to have, the older you get.
Okay, thank you, Justin. That's Money Focus here on Ocean 7, Mondays at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.
All right, welcome back. And just like we promised, we have the top marketing company CEO for 2020, according to the Women of Distinction. Right here on the show, Tabitha Vilardo. Tabitha, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super happy you're here. I wanted to talk about, all the great things you did to become the top marketing CEO of 2020, but then when we met before the show, you gave me so many great marketing ideas that I think I just want to jump straight into that. Well, but how did that happen? How did you become the top marketing CEO of 2020? You must be really good at your craft.
I'm super good at my craft, but someone nominated me, and Women of Distinction chose me for 2020, probably because I tripled my revenue from the prior year. And I represent 27 Papa John's locations. I work out of Texas, based in Louisiana. I'm here today with you in Mississippi. So I think it's just marketing myself and being known and being the social media on point, everything that every business needs. I think that's how it happens. I don't think it's because I'm better than anybody else, for sure.
It's staying with the task, and from what I hear, it's the same thing as our kind of keys to success on Sprout. It's to earning that reputation of successfully representing client after client after client.
Right.
So you said you represent Papa John's.
I do. 27 locations.
Sprout does financing for franchises. So,
and there are spots available for franchises here and across all the way to Florida.
We're going to have a Sprout alert today on the show about, our franchising.
Did you just spoiler alert the Sprout alert?
I just spoiler alerted the Sprout
gosh.
alert. I hope it's already passed at this point in the show. But so we do financing for franchises. What kind of? So let's say I own a franchise. How do you help me? What do you do for a franchise person like me?
Well, when I market for a franchise, I have to follow their guidelines just like any franchise owner has to, right? So it's really just social media, and I try to make it a community, whether you're a name like Papa John's or you're a smaller franchise like a gym. I want to base it in the community that you're in and really focus on getting your name out to those people that can actually visit you. We use websites, social media, Google, advertising.
So, difference between a pizza eater, which is everybody, and people who go to the gym, that's a big deal. Are you able to target people who work out and go, oh, we're going to reach out to these people who already work out and try to get some business for this new gym in town? Is that a thing?
There is a gym that's out that serves pizza every Tuesday.
Oh, no.
And I guarantee you they have more people that are members than other gyms.
Our gym only has healthy food and
I'm not going.
giveaways.
Give me pizza night. We're out there.
So you can you can tap the specific market that a person needs with the newest technologies that's out there.
Yeah, we can do.
Different world.
We can geofence this area for everybody to come in. We'll tag their IP address and show them your ad for 30 days.
You know what we did when I was coming up? I came up in the marketing business, selling myself, or working for other companies where I sold things, and we would do things like, we called it, and I read this book called Guerrilla Marketing, and we would just go to the cafeteria and illegally put out flyers on every single table right before lunch. We'd get a phone call every time. Well, don't do that anymore, but we would always get a lot of business from things like that. Also, we would just go cold calling, door to door, knocking on doors, going, hey, or calling people, going business to business, talking to people. That's a long grind from the opportunities we have today.
Yes, you do not have to go door to door or cold call, because we can do it all electronically. We'll get their IP address and we'll see what they're searching for. We look for their target market, the owner's target market, and just focus on reaching those people with ads and follow-up ads and lead generation. It just depends on what your business is.
Right.
Franchise is much different than any other business, though.
Right. So, and we're familiar with the franchise business enough, but we always, everyone has room to learn. So when some other things you do as far as marketing that could be helpful to our viewers would be things like helping people create from the ground up their brand, right? And give them an image. Is that something you frequently do?
Yes, I was about to say, what we're talking about, people don't really understand. People don't understand marketing at all. So we want to go logo, website, Google My Business page, advertising, social media. All of those things are part of your marketing. Ad spend needs to be at 10% of your income, and that's important. People want to cut back on their marketing costs because they don't know what it is and how much it helps, but it's actually an investment. You just need to make sure whoever's doing it for you is doing it right.
It's a big deal.
Yes.
To have a good, trusted company helping you. So what are some things, people right now, there are a lot of businesses that need to restructure or turn on a new income stream. What are some things right now, some tips that we could give the viewers about, hey, I need more customers tomorrow. I need the additional income coming through the door.
Number one tip, honestly, and it works every time with all of my clients, go back and talk to the clients you've already had. It's low-hanging fruit. They already know you. They already like you. Just call them and you sign them up again. Go pressure wash their house. See how they are. See what they're doing. Get referrals. That's easy sales.
So that's a good one. Check in with your existing client base. Drop them a letter, give them a phone call.
Mm-hmm. You should be doing that anyways.
Right.
Don't stop by their house. That's weird.
Stop by their house, So then some other things that people are doing, maybe electronically, what could people do right now as far as is just boosting a post on Facebook? Is that a good marketing tool?
Boosting a post is good if you're boosting it to the right people. You want to run social media ads. Google and YouTube own 80% of the search engine because Google owns YouTube, right? So you want to be advertising there. Facebook bought Instagram, so you want to be advertising there so you can mirror what you're doing. But outside of that, there are tools to use right now that people are just overlooking, like calling your customers, email marketing. Look, email marketing works. You want to make sure that you're hiring an agency that can title the email where it will be, it'll make people want to open it and it's going to help the customer.
So in email marketing, is it best to kind of put out maybe a sign up for people that want to receive your emails? How do you get people to take your newsletter or accept taking an email from you so that you're not spamming them?
Okay, go guerrilla like you used to, but electronically, and then they can opt out. So as long as the email is done correctly and it's attractive and it helps them and it helps build your business, then they'll keep on. They have the option to opt out right under. And that's what our agency does.
Yeah?
Yeah, we just make sure that everything's right and it's to the right people, and that's what marketing is. That's how you build your business.
So I was thinking about doing a direct mail piece. I was going to mail to certain types of business owners, just send them a letter telling them about Sprout and offering them the opportunity to reach out if they needed help with their financing. Do you think that's a good idea, direct mail?
Direct mail usually has a 1% return on your investment, so I do not agree with it. We talked about that. $3,500 for 5,000 people receiving a mail piece, or $3,500 for 128,000 people receiving an ad for 30 days continuously. I mean, that's easy.
It's a different world these days.
It is a different world. Welcome to the future.
Welcome to the future. So, you know, we started this show because we want to help people who, people were, at the time especially, people were busy trying to survive. And now people are, you know, trying to get reemployed or to find an additional income stream. And hopefully a lot of people that are following along are right now conceiving of and trying to come up with a strategy and then to implement a business. What are some of the first things, you know, we've talked about a lot of stuff here, but from a marketing perspective, what are some of the first things that people should think of when they think, well, I want to start a business? It's time to think about marketing, or some things maybe that people miss that are on there, on the important list.
A lot of times people question whether they need a website. Yes, you need an address on the internet that tells who you are, because Google says who you are, no matter what you think. You do need social media. It doesn't matter, you don't have to go through all the research about which one should I have or when should I post. You need it. It's you more on the internet, right? People are gonna look you up after they hear about you. So you have your logo, website, those are two things. And then when it comes to marketing, you need to start asking yourself, who are my clients? Where are they? Because that's where you need to look. With your advertising, people throw a lot of money away just shooting it out to everyone, hoping that they come. If you build it, they will come. No, it's not the answer anymore. Like, let's seek out your customers, advertise to them, and make them come.
Right, you were telling me a story about someone who was doing Facebook advertising for a nail salon, but they were advertising to the entire country when they should have been advertising to the region.
Yeah, wondering why they didn't get any business.
Because people in Seattle don't come to Baton Rouge or Louisiana or wherever we're going. So that's, you know, that's kind of the basic thing that we need to do as well. Here are some things that we're looking at to start a business, and then we have these people who are in business now and they've been doing Facebook, they've been doing Instagram. What can those people do to kind of fine tune, or what could they add to their marketing now in order to enhance things?
Honestly, that is such a broad question. That's why I meet with every owner that I represent, and I go over what their business is doing, where it's at, and what their goal is for the year. So I actually build a plan. That's 4 phases. So there's a lot of things that you can use, but it depends on what your business is.
So the answer to that question really boils down to sometimes it's time to bring in a professional and get some help, which is what, you know, at some point most businesses do. So we're going to run out of time here, but please come back to the show and talk to the people again, and let's kind of check back in with what's going on.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. We talked about what to put in your startup cost versus your profit and loss statement, and what startup costs really mean. And we got some great tips from Tabitha Vilardo on how to market your business. And ended up with, at some point, you're going to need a professional like Tabitha to help you. So we hope you contact her. Next week, we're going to continue on our journey to get information to those people who want to earn their living in the film industry. And our guest next week, Scotty Whitehurst, is an acting coach and an assistant casting director, and he's going to be here with some great information for those people who want to start out in the film industry. So don't miss that show if you're interested in that.
He's cute.
Thank you for joining us on Sprout Central today, and we look forward to seeing you next week.